Please call to order. Call this regular council meeting to order for the 17th of August. Please join me in a moment of silence. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Domingo, please call the roll.
Councilmember Clark. Here. Reed. Smith.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
And Mayor Atchison.
Here. Okay. Next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any proposed additions or changes? Councilman Smith. I'm sorry, apologize. Looked at you again. Councilman Williamson.
I'd like to add letter E to presentation, proclamation recognizing Michigan's best writer, Malibu Brewing.
Okay. Any other changes or corrections to the agenda? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Councilman Lawler.
I'd like to add for, into the, discussion part, F, item F, for, just a discussion of masks for the, hearing impaired.
Yeah, so on my agenda, I have D.
Oh, it's already added?
No, I have, you said item F and mine goes up to item D.
Oh, I thought you just added.
No, he had a proclamation, so.
Oh,
E was added by the clerk between when the first packet came out tonight.
Okay, didn't have that, so.
So E is being added under what?
under items for individual discussion?
And is it masks? Okay.
What is it?
E was the separation agreement. That was your Councilman Lawler's new.
Okay, item E is separation agreement, city manager, and item F is masks. Okay. Any other changes or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. First item are presentations and recognitions. The first is recognizing a proclamation recognizing National Dog Day. Whereas National Dog Day is a national holiday celebrated in the United States of America on August 26th since 2004. And whereas National Dog Day celebrates all breeds, pure and mixed, and serves to help to galvanize the public to recognize the number of dogs that need to be rescued each year, either from public shelters, rescues, and pure breed rescues. And whereas National Dog Day honors family dogs and dogs that work selflessly to save lives, keep us safe and bring comfort. And whereas the 75 million pet dogs in the United States are more than in any other country. And whereas according to the American Heart Association, dog owners are 54% more likely to get the recommended amount of exercise than their non-dog owning counterparts. And whereas as a result of more exercise and due to a stronger immune system from being exposed to pet fur and dandruff, many dog owners see a decrease in blood pressure, triglycerides, and cholesterol levels, making them less at risk for heart disease. And whereas dog owners are less likely to be depressed and in fact have higher levels of serotonin and dopamine than non-dog owners, mainly due to the fact that dogs are calming and familiar companions that lead to less stress and anxiety. Whereas Canine Officer Lucy Joe has been a faithful member of the Albion Department of Public Safety since 15 December 2016. Now, therefore, I, Dave Atchison, Mayor of Albion, do hereby proclaim August 26th as National Dog Day in the city of Albion. Okay. Next, we have a presentation for National Nonprofit Day. Proclamation recognizing National Nonprofit Day, whereas National Nonprofit Day is celebrated in the United States on August 17th. And whereas August 17th was chosen because the Tariff Act of 1894, signed into law on August 17th, imposed the first federal income tax on corporations, which included exemptions for nonprofit corporations and charitable institutions. And whereas National Nonprofit Day is celebrated to educate, enlighten, and empower others to make a difference in our society, while acknowledging those individuals who, through the work of nonprofits, are impacting lives every day as change makers of the world. And whereas advocacy is deeply rooted in the DNA of nonprofits, from before the time our nation was formed through today, and whereas as early as 1793, popular associations sprang up in the new republic to debate public questions, criticize government, and influence public policy, these associations eventually developed strong political agendas. And whereas out of churches, more than 1,000 abolitionist societies brought pressure to free slaves, ultimately leading to the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas the National American Women's Suffrage Association toiled for decades, leading the struggle to formally secure for women the right to vote. And with the adoption of the 19th Amendment in 1920, the association then transformed into the League of Women Voters. And whereas during the Great Depression, 5 million Americans formed local Townsend clubs to support Dr. Francis Townsend, who had urged President Roosevelt to create government-supported pension plan. In 1936, 3 years after the Townsend wave had begun flowing toward Washington, Congress passed the Social Security Act. And whereas in 1939, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People created its Legal Defense and Educational Fund to take advantage of new laws granting tax-exempt status to nonprofit organizations that did not have a lobbying function as their principal purpose. The fund's efforts ultimately led to the victory in the landmark 1954 decision of Brown v. Board of Education. And whereas in 1963, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., as head of the nonprofit Southern Christian Leadership Conference, eloquently called for social justice and racial equality in his inspirational I Have a Dream speech. Surrounding him were countless nonprofits in the forms of churches, the Congress of Racial Equality, the NAACP, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Soon thereafter, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that banned discrimination in employment practices and public accommodations, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to protect the right to vote. And whereas there are more than 70 nonprofits in Albion following the long-standing tradition of people coming together with a common goal of improving the lives of others. Now, therefore, I, Dave Atchison, Mayor of Albion, do hereby proclaim August 17th as National Nonprofit Day in the city of Albion, and urge everyone to join me in expressing our heartfelt thanks for the positive impact organizations such as the Albion Community Foundation, Albion Homer United Way, Albion chapter of the NAACP, Castor Cares, the American Legion, the Albion's Lions Club, Albion Rotary Club, Friends of Albion Animals, Darrington's Gift, Albion Homer Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, the Albion Healthcare Alliance, Walk the Beat, Vision of Life, Friends of the Albion District Library, and many other Albion nonprofits have in our community. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of Albion, Michigan on this 7th day of August in the year 2020. Next is National Senior Day. Proclamation recognizing National Senior Day. Whereas in 1988, President Ronald Reagan proclaimed August 21st as the day America would celebrate seniors. And whereas National Senior Day is celebrated annually in the United States on August 21st. And whereas throughout our history, seniors have achieved much for our families, our communities, and our country. And whereas today, older people are living longer, healthier, and more productive lives than ever before. And whereas, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the year 2030 will mark a significant demographic turning point in the history of the United States. In a decade, all baby boomers will be older than age 65, thus expanding the size of the older population so that 1 in every 5 U.S. residents will be retirement age. By 2035, there will be 78 million people 65 years and older compared to 76.7 million under the age of 18. And whereas our seniors' wealth of knowledge, skill, and experience offers so much to the next generation, and whereas technology is advanced, seniors are the people who've experienced each step of change. Not only have they contributed to it, but they understand firsthand the benefits and the drawbacks. They know life without the advantages and advancements that exist today. Our senior citizens are pioneers of science, medicine, psychology, civil rights, and much more. And whereas seniors' valuable contributions to our community creates a better place to live, they deserve the respect and dignity that their achievements earn them. Whereas the National American Women's Suffrage Association toiled for decades leading the struggle to formally secure the right to vote. Now, therefore, I, Dave Atchison, Mayor of Albion, do hereby proclaim August 21st as National Senior Day in the city of Albion, and witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal. And last but certainly not least is a proclamation recognizing over 3 decades of community service. It's not last, but next last. Proclamation recognizing over 3 decades of community service by Don Martin, whereas St. Paul's Lutheran Church is rooted deeply in our community and its members are active public servants, making a difference in people's everyday lives. And whereas the responsibility of developing the next wave of public servants depends heavily on those in key positions to embrace their role as mentors in order to prepare the next generation to face the many challenges ahead in our community. And whereas Don Martin, in her role as St. Paul's ministry assistant and youth director, has faithfully served the community of Albion for over 3 decades. And whereas Don Martin's contributions to our community has helped make Albion a better place to live. And whereas Don Martin has been part of the continuity in our community during these 3 decades of change, and those who know her enjoy her sense of humor and marvel at her positive outlook regardless of the challenges. And whereas those who have worked alongside her realize they are better for having done so. And whereas Don Martin will conclude her tenure as a member of St. Paul's staff on the 31st of August, the Albion City Council joins with members of St. Paul's Lutheran Church to honor Don Martin and to express our sincere appreciation for her long and faithful service to our community. Now, therefore, I, David Ashton, Mayor of Albion, do hereby proclaim August 31st as Don Martin Day in the city of Albion. Okay, here's the other. Okay, last but certainly not least, proclamation recognizing Albion Malibu Brewing Company on being named Michigan's best burger in the state of Michigan. Whereas MLive Media sent out a team of expert foodies all over the state of Michigan in search of Michigan's best burger. And whereas MLive tried over 105 burgers at over 30 restaurants all over the state of Michigan. And whereas the owners, Chef Joe, and all the team at the Albion Malibu Brewing Company provide excellent service, food, and beverages. And whereas the Albion Brewing Company was given the honor of Michigan's best burger by MLive in early August of 2020. And whereas the entire city of Albion can be proud to have the best burger in Michigan, and whereas statewide recognition of great business products and services drives more people and visitors to the local community, whereas the city of Albion recognizes the hard work of its business owners and entrepreneurs and would like to recognize important milestones in their development and success locally and regionally. And whereas the Albion Brewing Company has improved the downtown and the appearance of the city through their renovations to the building and the surrounding property. Whereas the Albion Malibu Brewing Company has grown into a staple downtown business and now statewide recognized best for burgers. Now, therefore, I, Dave Atchison, Mayor of Albion, do hereby recognize the achievement of being named Michigan's best burger for the Albion Malibu Brewing Company. Okay. Let's see. I have a motion to go into the public hearing on the amended and restated development plan and tax increment financing plan. For support? Okay. So we will now open the public hearing. This is on the approve the amended and restated development plan and tax increment financing plan. Do we have any public comments, Chief?
I have no hands ready for public comment.
I believe, excuse me, Lady Michelle is with us from Becca and Raider. If any council members or anybody has any comments or questions, I'm sorry.
Questions or comments from council?
If you want us to approve this, I'd like to do it. That was a whole lot. That's all it is.
She is with us.
Yep.
Yes, we're. If we could have her give us an overview of it, if we just review.
Mr. Michelle, are you there?
I am. Let me just switch over my screen here so that I have it in front of me. So this is, as we said, an amended and restated plan. So the initial plan was adopted back in 1980. Oh gosh, 3 or 9, I think. And so this really just extends the duration of the capture. We have gone through all the proper steps as laid out in the recently amended Act in 2018. We have collected some community engagement via a survey. The plan has been available for public review, actually for a little longer than it would have been normally due to COVID. There are No great changes in the plan. It does cover proposed projects to be executed with the capture, and those are, excuse me, largely focused on some physical improvements downtown, as they should be. And the plan in its entirety is designed to work collaboratively with the remaining ongoing improvements in the downtown. So where there is private investment in the buildings, we mean to support this with public investments in non-motorized transportation and otherwise improving the public realm.
Councilman Marie, do you have any questions for her?
I have a question about this part of the public process.
I can't hear you. What page is that?
That's page 9.
I'm sorry, what page?
When and how was the survey?
Oh, okay. So ma'am, if you could explain how the survey was taken, when it was taken and how it was taken, that was the question.
Sure. Okay, so we had distributed flyers to downtown businesses requesting customers, passersby, basically anyone who was in the downtown area to do a very short, it was meant to be, you could take it on your phone, scan it with the QR code, a 9-question, 3-minute downtown customer survey. And we asked questions like, how often you come downtown, how often you, like how long you stay, how you get there, whether you drive or walk or bike. We also asked how you would prefer to get there, which, kind of addresses whether or not those options are all available. We asked some other questions that, really focused in on the things that downtown plans generally cover. So things like wayfinding, how easy is it to find your way around? How easy is it to get around on foot? How easy is it to enjoy the river, to dispose of your litter, sit and relax, find something to eat, something to do, find what you're shopping for. So we were really trying to get at the people who are the downtown users, and also to sort of limit our queries to things that the downtown plan would reasonably cover. We also distributed a business owner survey to a number of downtown business owners, and we asked questions there like how could the DDA be more supportive, and what kinds of activities would business owners find useful. We offered that those business owners could then distribute the link to the customer survey through their kind of mailing lists and that kind of thing. I'm not sure that any of them did, but that was another method that was available.
I questioned people that I knew and asked them that they taken the survey, and nobody I talked to had taken the survey. I didn't know anything about this survey.
Well, I believe the survey was distributed, well, part of the survey was distributed to the residents and businesses that live in the downtown district. The other portion of the survey, I'm not exactly sure how they distributed it.
Was covered by the businesses. They participate. This
That's
was
right.
given by our downtown development authority back in June of 2019.
I understand that. I'm just wondering, how do you really get a good survey of the community's thought about if so much of the community was not surveyed?
Well, if that question is for me, we're sort of limited to the participants that we get. We did make what we thought was a pretty robust effort to connect with both the business owners and to, make that survey as easy and accessible to the downtown folks as possible. We did understand that by focusing on the kind of place-based outreach that we would, be particularly emphasizing the downtown users. And that was a little bit by design, under the theory that downtown residents would be more likely to, kind of have contact with it, and they are the most affected by the contents of the plan. And then we tried to sort of expand our reach as much as we could by ensuring that we had that, in place during, let's see, I think it was the car festival that happens right around the 4th of July, so that we would get, sort of not just the folks from Albion who are obviously important downtown users, but also the sort of greater community. So we really tried to reach a breadth, and I do recognize that there are limitations to any survey outreach effort.
survey was distributed 2 different times. The first time we did not receive. I said the survey was distributed 2 different times. The first time we did not receive a high response rate. And I know Councilmember Lawler and Mayor Atchison can both attest to that because they serve on the DDA board. We did redistribute and broaden the audience that we did, and we still did not receive a great response rate.
Any other questions or comments by council? Motion to close the public session, or do I have a public session, oh, public comments? Second. Public hearing. Yeah. Public hearing, thank you.
So moved.
Support. We're closing the public hearing. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Okay, close the public hearing. And next up is the consent. No, I'm sorry, public comments. You have public comments, Chief?
Yeah.
Here, so we have to approve the plan at this time now.
On the page. Okay, so before we go to public comments, may I have a motion to approve the amended and restated development plan and tax increment financing plan.
So moved.
I will support. Is there any discussion? Seeing none.
I do.
Okay,
I just want to recognize the Downtown Development Authority. This has been over a year in the making. It's been installed several occasions. There's been a lot of hard work put into this particular project. In fact, we were supposed to do this in March, and then of course, like everything in March, COVID came in and ruined it. And so I know this has been extremely frustrating for those folks who worked really, really hard to make sure that they put together this plan. So I just want to make sure I recognize their service and really happy that it's here at council finally and we can approve it.
I could just say I want to give much thanks to Leah DiMichelle with Reconstruction, who has been a great asset in helping us revamp our DDA plan.
I'll second that. Mr. Mingo, would you call the roll? This is to approve the plan.
Councilmember Clark. Yes. Reed. Smith.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
And Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. Now public comments.
Sonny Brown.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, hi. I wanted to, this is on the public hearing portion, correct? Well, anyway, okay.
Anything? On the agenda items.
Okay, well, I'm a little confused about what just happened, but I wanted to say this. I heard Councilmember Reed ask about the surveys for the downtown development plan. And that was one of the pieces that stood out to me. My comment is that the users, what I heard was that the survey targeted downtown businesses and downtown users, as in consumers, people who frequent downtown. And I think that what that data discloses is the big issue that I know I've raised in the past. African American community members in Albion are disengaged from downtown. They're not using downtown. Therefore, the survey responses were disproportionately low for African Americans. And that's the big issue. Why is that? Why aren't Black community members in Albion frequenting downtown? Why weren't they able to access and take the survey that was available downtown? Because they are not down there. And that's a big problem. That's a red flag. And I would hope that this council and the DDA and the EDC and ARC, because let's face it, the EDC and ARC has the big plan for downtown, right? I hope that you all look at why that is. Why is the Black community disengaged from what's going on downtown? Why were the survey numbers so disproportionately low when the survey was so readily available to downtown businesses and downtown customers? That's the problem. That's the big issue. That's where the concerns have been raised in the past, and that's the heart of why people are not on board with the economic development that they're seeing in their community. So, thank you.
We have more public comments, Chief?
Yes. Mr. Brown?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Garrett Brown, 1016 South Superior Street. A couple of things. I've put this on Facebook on my former mayor page. It's disheartening that the council is probably going to approve a separation with our city manager. And the best thing I can do to give you a sense of what the danger that you all are putting our community in is to look at the school district. Okay, so around 2000, schools of choice happened, and there was a racial disparity. A lot of white parents took their kids out of the district, so that was the first kind of issue. Then there was a period there for almost 10 years of turnover and poor governance on the school board, right? It became a way to get back at people, a lot of infighting, a lot of, again, misunderstanding about their roles as board members. And as a result of that, that also led to a high turnover administrators. Albion probably had about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 different superintendents in about a decade. And my fear is that the political culture that is on the council right now is starting that same process for the city, where we have gone through 3 managers, and because certain people on the council feel like the manager should be the de facto mayor and glad hand and schmooze the developers and different leaders in the community versus working for the entire community, because the manager is not falling in line with that template, which is really out of line with what a manager is really supposed to be. Is supposed to be a nonpartisan, non-political administrator. I'm afraid that this is causing a situation again that will be similar to what happened with our school district. People who are not aware of the roles in governance, and it leads to a climate of this kind of thing. Quick tenures for council members and administrators, and the school district failed. And I'm scared that that's what's going to happen for the city. And so I think there needs to be some soul searching. The council still has not done the training that they guaranteed the people, the citizens, that they would do. And so, like I said, Mr. McCleary was ICMA certified and probably one of the most qualified managers we've had. So this is disheartening. And again, like I always say, I'm hoping in November the voters can stop the madness.
Any other public comments, Chief?
That's all.
Okay. Next is the approval of the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are voted on as 1 unit. 2 items, special session minutes from the August 3rd, 2020 special meeting, and regular session minutes from August 3rd, 2020. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, items for individual discussion. Resolution 2020-45 to set compensation for the acting city manager. Is there a copy of the resolution in here? I looked, but I did not see it. I'm not sure it's in here or not. 69, thank you. Background. Let's see. Services Resolution 2020-45 to set compensation for the acting city manager. Is there discussion? Williamson.
So I am fully very in support of moving forward. We need to take action on this. We're kind of required to take action within 5 days of planning and acting. I'm wondering, and I can be the person that makes the motion, but I think we need to add a even further resolve portion to this based on what's going on tonight. What's on the agenda later in the meeting. I would like council to create a work group to propose an interim plan, a possible interim plan if that's necessary, along with a contract proposal for that. That allows us to take the next 2 weeks if we are accepting a resignation later, to allow a small work group to work with the acting city manager or give a different recommendation for interim at the next meeting.
Okay, so that would modify the resolution, or amend the resolution to add out, be it further resolved to.
Well, I'm asking council if they're open to that suggestion. I want to make sure we're efficient as possible. So if they're open, I can make the motion, but I wanted to ask my council members if they did it.
Anybody object to that? Maybe have an alternative suggestions.
What was that again? Can you repeat that, Mayor?
I asked if anybody was opposed to the suggestion made by our mayor pro tem.
To consider an interim at a later date or right now?
Councilman.
Councilman Spicer, I'm just making the suggestion that we add an additional be resolved clause to this resolution, that we create a small work group of council, 3 members, to work on an interim plan if that's what's needed after tonight's meeting. The reason I'm doing that is because if there is a resignation later, this group can get to work expeditiously to recommend to council the interim plan, compensation package, duration of time, etc. So, and I'm also interested, so if I make this motion, which 3 council members would like to be on that committee. I'll be open and honest that I would love to help with that again if you guys would like, if you all would like, but if there are others at the table who want to serve on that committee as well, I would appreciate that going forward before I make the motion.
Oh, thank you.
Councilman Spicer, did you have a comment?
No, I can, yeah, no, I'm clear now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, do you want to make that motion to amend the resolution to include that?
Yeah, but I want to include the council people, so if you just want to raise your hand if you're interested, I'd like to know. I'm interested.
How many do you want?
We can have 3. We can have 3. If Councilman Waller would like to, and Councilwoman Reed, we could work together. Okay. Let me try this. Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I want to amend, I move to amend the resolution to be it further resolved that council will form a work group of council persons Reed, Waller, and Williamson to negotiate an interim role if necessary going forward after tonight's meeting and bring recommendations to council at our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, I'll support that amendment. Okay, seeing no further comments. Mr. Domingo, would you read the roll?
It's on the amendment too.
I'm sorry?
It's just on the amendment.
Right.
But I can vote on me being on.
Yes.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay, the amendment is approved. Any further discussion on the resolution as amended? Mayor Pro Tem.
I want to thank Acting City Manager Snyder for stepping into this role so quickly, so fast, and so unexpectedly. Appreciate your service so far, and thank you for this. I'm hoping that to continue this relationship moving forward.
Mr. Domingo, please read the roll.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Reed, and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Next item is first right of refusal for foreclosed properties in the city of Albion. May I have a motion?
Support.
Is there discussion? Councilman Smith.
I just wondering if any of the council members had taken the time to go out and look at any of these properties? And if they have any comments on them?
Well, I think,
Go ahead.
Councilman Spicer.
thank you. Attorney Harkness, didn't, we had this at, as a discussion, I think it was a year ago. Can you refresh? We agree to something similar to this?
We usually do a right of first refusal on foreclosed properties on an annual basis, is my recollection.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, okay, never mind. Thank
Councilman Clark.
So I'm glad to be here, being taken care of. And we're moving forward, and I'll be able to get a chance to go around and look at it and do on. I'm a little bit apprehensive about the fact, how long is this gonna take and what's gonna happen to these properties? Because our history is not good with having foreclosed properties sitting in when we gain property, when we gain possession of them. So I'm hoping that we can move forward with this and we can, that the code compliance part of it can take care of what they need to, so we don't have people living in these abandoned buildings because, Councilman Reed, as well as myself, I know I've been told that people live in these abandoned buildings. And that's one of the reasons why they get destroyed the way they do, so we need to make sure that we can get them boarded up and get them and watch them and make sure that people aren't destroying them before we can.
I can say the county is set to hold their auction on September 21st. So hopefully they will be sold and taken care of very soon after.
What was the date?
September 21st.
Any other questions from council?
I have a question.
Councilman Spicer.
Thank you. Oh, this just basically to put in writing as a practice and a procedure. We generally, the city does not generally consume, purchase foreclosed properties, right? We're just putting in writing that we want the first opportunity to refuse. Because I think I was told in the past that the city can't be a landlord, correct?
City Attorney.
Yeah, so these are the properties that are tax foreclosed by the county. They're obligated by law to offer us the opportunity to buy them back. And so, yeah, to a certain extent, the city doesn't want to enter into being a landlord, but these are usually properties that have other issues associated with them, which is why we generally don't elect to purchase them.
Okay. I guess this is probably asked, you probably don't know this, but in your, Cullen, in your memory history, has there been a property that the city has purchased or no? Usually we just use, am I correct?
In the 9 years that I've been with the city, I cannot recall us
Exercising our first right.
I should say exercising our first right of refusal. Well, the chief is telling me the food hub, but that may have predated me actually.
It's been about 5 years.
So as a general principle, the answer would be no, Councilwoman Spicer. We don't generally exempt properties from this.
But
Okay.
But we have, right?
The only one, the only one that apparently I wasn't even aware of is the food hub. But that's technically owned by.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Reed.
Is there any stipulations to these as to what they can do with unworked?
No, I mean, they're condemned, so.
No, well, they're not condemned, they're tax foreclosed properties, so they're owned by the county. And like the acting manager said, they're up for auction in September, so hypothetically, anybody can purchase them at auction. Now, whether or not they do is, remains to be seen. Some properties may have issues where they may go up for auction. My understanding is, I think there's actually 2 rounds of auctions, but, and if nobody purchases them, they remain with the county's property.
Okay.
When somebody purchases, you don't do anything to it.
Well, then that becomes a code enforcement issue for the city. If they fall into disrepair or they become a threat to the health, safety, and welfare, then that's something the city can take enforcement on, whether it's through code enforcement or through civil litigation. But we have to be careful how we do that because the council is aware. We tried doing that with Dalrymple School. We tried doing that with some other properties, and it really comes down to a matter of is the property owner solvent, and ultimately some of them will get either transferred, tax reversed back to the county again. So.
Any other questions from council?
Oh, just one quick question.
Councilwoman Spicer.
Thank you. I believe the acting city manager said that the auction date was September 21st. Just as a point of information, and maybe she does not know, is it going to be like an online auction, or do you have no idea?
I do not know.
It is gonna be on, just because I've been checking with, Land Onward Marshall. It is gonna be an online auction only.
On the 21st. Okay. Can you bid before the 21st, or you have to wait? I'm sorry.
Go on right now and, put your bid for, it's open.
Thank you.
So,
Any other comments by council? Okay. Ms. Domingo, would you read the roll, please?
Councilmember Lawler,
I'm voting on.
Basically, we're bypassing our right of first refusal. Property will remain the county's under auction.
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Okay, next item is discussion of animal control. This was requested by Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have had several complaints about the animals that are taking over not only the city, but complaints about the 4th precinct. One thing that I do want to make sure that I get out to the public is that they are concerned if they are the feral cats, and I'd like to let you know that the feral cats have all been caught, that belong to them. So I'm thinking that these are neighborhood cats. I was out this week and I saw a lot of cat food out in driveways and things like that. So I had a suggestion that Albion needs a animal control, not only for cats, but I have gotten complaints about possums and raccoons. I know they used to eat off of the feral cats, so now that there is nothing for them to eat there, they are probably hungry and looking other places. So my discussion about the animal control to you, to my council members, is to see and maybe check into how we can have an animal control officer maybe available to us 2 days a week. I'm not sure how it used to go, but I know we did used to have one. I know our funding is pretty low to maybe hire somebody, but if we all put our minds together, I do believe that we could get somebody to do this job maybe once or twice a week and be available to the community. So that is my discussion about the animal control that I'm bringing before you as a complaint of the 4th precinct.
Any other comments by council?
Second precinct also.
Councilman Smith.
Yes, I believe there is an ordinance on the books that does say that unless you are a member of an organization that handles such things, you should not be putting food out for stray, abandoned, or feral cats, which a large portion of the problem in Albion is abandoned cats. People move and they leave them, or it's going to be cute if my cat has kittens, and then you've got 10 kittens roaming around. That's why it's so important to spay and neuter animals. Unfortunately, Calhoun County will not deal with cats. They strictly deal with dogs. And maybe the chief could chime in. I don't think they deal with wild animals such as possums.
The biggest problem with dealing with any animals other than dogs is there's no place to take them or do anything with them.
Exactly.
The Humane Society won't take them. There's nothing that we can actually do with those animals once we do catch them. And so I don't know, I don't have an answer for anybody as far as what we can do with other animals other than dogs. So.
Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm asking my fellow council members, do they have any ideas set before the table that I can take back to my precinct and say, hey, we did discuss this. This is what we came up with, or we did discuss it and we came up with nothing. So.
Mayor Pro Tem Williamson.
I would offer that. I think Councilperson Lawler bring up a good point. What I'd like to say is that maybe instead of trying to discuss and solve a problem we don't know much about, maybe we pull some data about how many times public safety or we can ask the county hall maybe called out for animal calls and what that looks like. I know that when there's a stray dog in my neighborhood, I definitely call public safety. That's reported. And so maybe Councilperson Lawler would like to work with someone at City Hall to pull some of that data so we can see how big is the problem. Is it something that warrants bringing in a full-time or a part-time animal control officer, and just see if we have the big problem that we think we might have. Because what I'm hearing is that like in your area, there might be something, but if your area is the only place that have that problem, or council lead, then we probably need to go a full-time person for that. But it would be nice to look at what kind of calls we're getting, how many, what that looks like on time and energy resources, and then have a discussion about need to have an animal control officer. That's what I'm going to offer to you as a solution to kind of move things through a process.
Councilwoman Laura.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for that piece of sensitivity to the call that my precinct has put out before us. I am willing to do that since my precinct is being invaded. I see it too in my precinct, so I have gotten a lot of calls about it. But I am open to do that. Would that be with the chief?
I can research what I can find out about it. I definitely can get the numbers as far as what we do for, but those the majority of our animal ones are going to be dogs. We don't generally take any other calls. Once in a while, we'll have a rabid animal that we have to deal with, but other than that, the majority are dogs. So.
Thank you.
Next item is utility easement for Albion College. I have a motion to approve the utility easement. Support. Okay. Discussion? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I do have a question about this. So I understand this is grant funding meant to do this, so this, I don't know about that. Has the college communicated a plan on finishing the project? I see that this doesn't exactly finish the project, it just takes it for as far as it can go. Is there any plan about how that's like, if it doesn't reach the Equestrian Center? Who's gonna pay for it? And when will that be done?
There has not been any discussions on the finalize of this expansion. This honestly was started before my time here at the city. I know that we received a grant back in 2018, and this is just the start of a long-term goal of the Calhoun County Trailhead and Adventure Campground.
Right. Right, I'm inclined to approve this, I mean, the grant is for this, we should spend the money the way the grant was, meant to be, but on the back end of this, I'd love to find out how the project's gonna get finished and make sure that the city, but, you know, it looks like we're putting our best foot forward and, making sure something happens, I'd like to know how it gets finished.
Yeah, but that's discussions we're gonna have to continue to have with the college.
Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we currently have, I see we have a couple of dollars left over. Do we have, any need in our, water sewer ourselves, like in the,
I know for that project that this grant was awarded for, all of those upgrades have been completed. And I know the language for that grant specified the overages were to go towards this utility expansion project. So all of the projects that were slated or upgrades in our wastewater treatment plant, they have been completed with this grant funding.
thank you.
If you don't mind, I can explain a little further then. This was part of the project that we did with the wastewater treatment plant, and there were a lot of overages on that due to water saturation in the soil down there, and they did a lot of extra digging, and as a result, we went back to the state and requested additional funds to cover those costs. When that was done, Senator Knopf pushed on to that. Any extra money that they provided out of that was to go to these projects for the college at that point. And so that's where this money is, the leftover money from what covered all the overages we had from the project in 2018 out the wastewater treatment plant. And then the remainder was to go to this project here.
Thank you.
Any other comments by council? Ms. Domingo, would you read the roll?
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Hutchison.
Yes. Next, future agenda items. Oh, E, there's E and F, right. Okay. What's the language for E? Do this to it. Approve, accept the separation agreement. Is that the language on the agenda? Since I don't have the updated agenda in front of me.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's discussion approval, city manager separation agreement.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Support? Okay, discussion. City attorney.
So just a couple things for council. This was extensively negotiated with myself, our labor council, Greg Schultz, over Keller Tonline, and Mr. McCleary. Finally arrived at satisfactory language at the tail end of last week and was signed by Mr. McCleary over the weekend. It's being brought to council now. A couple of points I want to just highlight for the council is the agreement does include a complete release of liability for the city. It also includes non-disparagement clauses for both sides, which means no negative statements to be made about the city or its staff or Mr. McCleary, and vice versa, no negative statements about Mr. McCleary to be made by the city. So doing the agreement this way, as opposed to the other options that were available to council, the city is probably saving himself somewhere in just shy of, I believe, about $6,000 or so.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I just want to acknowledge Council Member Clark and Council Member Smith, who were on the team that took this task at hand. And I just want to appreciate their hard work and dedication to making sure that we were able to get this agreement with Colin and Mr. McCleary. So thank you both sincerely. These things are never.
Same you said for your hard work too, Mayor
Yes.
Pro Tem. Council Malone.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have, two concerns that maybe elaborated into one, but, was there any kind of fight for his job, or did he say anything about, I need to do better, or was there any ownership taken, is probably a better word than what I'm thinking. So I'd like to ask those that were in session about this, was there any ownership and was there a fight to keep the job?
City Attorney, can remind us that we don't want to say anything that we can be construed as disparaging.
So I guess what I would say is, yeah, I mean, because of the nature of the agreement with the non-disparagement clause, that we probably don't want to go into that discussion because that could be construed as disparagement.
Okay.
I think, and any of the three committee members can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think both sides thought this was an appropriate resolution to resolve the issues that were being expressed. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments? Councilman Spicer? Okay.
You're muted.
Just other than it's unfortunate that this was the end result of the ex-city manager's employment. I had high hopes when we hired him that, you know, we had the perfect person for the position, given his experience and talents and certifications and education. So I just had high hopes. I'm just a little disappointed that it didn't work out, but I have nothing but well wishes for Mr. McCleary, and sorry to see him go.
No one is more disappointed that it didn't work out than I am. Any other comments by council? Seeing none, Mr. Mingo, would you read the roll?
Councilmember Williamson,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Reed.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Last item is a discussion on masks. And Councilman Malone, you requested this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a person, a young lady in my precinct that, as you know, we have a lot of professional people in our precinct. So she is a teacher, and I think she's a teacher, but I know she works with the hearing impaired, deaf, and one of her concerns about us was wearing our masks during council meetings. So she wanted to ask me to bring it to all of you attention. Her name is Mrs. Leah Ymca, and she did a video discussion about different issues that the hearing impaired have, and one of the things that was sacred to them are reading lips. So she was concerned about them not being able to read our lips. She had several things that she wanted to offer to us, and one of them was a closed caption or a face shield. I can't remember the third one, but I did offer to her that I would come to council and bring it to all of our attention to see what we can do, because she feels that we are not in compliance with, the hearing impaired. So I wanted to bring it to all of you to help me, take something back to her, to assure her that, people that are, precious to her and her field of work, are being accommodated. Thank you.
Comments by council? Mayor Pro Tem.
I definitely, I agree, Councilperson Lawler, I think it would be great if we could investigate whether we have the capability to do some closed captioning. Now I'm reminded, so no one can read my lips if my mask is covering it, but, I know we're all being safe and we're social distancing, but we should still wear masks. But it would be nice to see if we have the capability of closed captioning, if we know someone who does sign language, who might be able to do some of that work while we're having our meeting, or investing in some face shields so that people can see as we speak. I have people in my family who are being impaired, that I know several people in Albion who are being impaired, and we just don't think about it until we know someone who has to deal with it. So it would be nice to do a little investigating, see what we can do to accommodate those folks in our community.
Thank you.
City Attorney.
So this is something that's actually been a topic of discussion with municipal attorneys at light of COVID. And so what I can tell you is that the issue being described by Councilman Waller is subject to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And because of that, it is an issue that the council should probably be exploring a couple of options. As I said, closed captioning is one thing. Some cities are more sophisticated than others in that, by way of example, one of my other municipalities, Brewing Township, has its own TV station, which means that they probably got a leg up on their ability to do that. Some other cities that I represent actually have individuals that are just very adept at typing that actually transcribe what council is saying for the public in that sense for closed captioning. And then there are other municipalities that do some of the signing so that those that are very at home can do that. But I did want to make the council aware that this what Councilwoman Lowe has described can run afoul of the ADA if we don't try to address it.
Okay. So, city manager, would you take a look at this and come back and make recommendations on the best solutions?
I will.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lawler, can you please provide me with Mrs. Avant's contact info so I can touch base with her? Or
Can I text it to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Or
I don't have her information, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Reed.
I think even with us because, okay, I have a hearing problem. In fact, I'm having surgery on my ear. But I can't hear anything you guys are saying over there because they stop, the mask stops. My sinuses are real bad. My doctor told me, take the mask off, I'm going to end up dead. So I got the face shield. And I don't think we're talking enough to spit to the other side of the room. So I just, it would be more convenient, I think, for us to, you can hear what the person is saying instead of listening.
Any other comments? Councilman Clark.
I was saying, I really appreciate, the woman bringing that to our attention, because it was something that we just didn't think about. And maybe, as a suggestion, maybe we could just do some plexiglass in between, cut them and make them evenly in between each station, for a temporary measure while we have to do that. That would be a quick fix and an inexpensive fix. And it wouldn't muffle, our speech or anything at that point. Everything is above, right? So, because I noticed that's what everybody else is doing.
Councilman Malone.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the council for taking heed to that. I too was unaware, and I too thank her on behalf of all of you that she brought this to our attention. So she wasn't upset or anything about it, but she did understand that we just, we didn't. we just didn't think about it. We just didn't think about it. And so I would like for them to have the same opportunity the best way possible. It does, when we have our mask on, she did mention that there was a muffle, because she does watch every now and then. And the glare off of the plastic or the plexiglass, we want to make sure that they're able to see it instead of seeing some type of glare. So thank you, Mayor and Council, and I appreciate it.
Next, future agenda items. Any council members have future agenda items they want to identify at this point? Councilman Smith.
Yes, I'd like to put on tree trimming and, how we're doing moving forward on finding someone to contract for tree work in Albion.
Okay. Councilman Clark.
It's not really an agenda item, but I just would like to, I see how we're moving forward with the sidewalks and things on Austin Street and things like that. I want to say thank you for that. And I would like to say, because I've been talking to, mentioning the speed, and a lot of people keep bringing that back to us. If Kip could give us some kind of information about if traffic tickets have picked up or where we're at with that. I've noticed that because of the construction on Austin Street, the traffic is slowed down, so I'm happy to have both of them happening at the same time. So, yes, a lot of people that's really complaining about traffic and how fast people are driving, so we really need to look at that before we have a serious accident with this.
Okay. Councilwoman Spicer.
Did Councilman Clark just mention sidewalks and repairing of those? And I guess if she did, in that vein, can we get an update from the sidewalk committee as to what's going on?
Yeah, I know it's probably gonna be a contract issue to do those intersections, so I don't know, if you let us know, we'll talk about that. Councilman Smith.
Yes, Councilman Clark reminded me of something else. I'd like to also discuss possibly changing a few speed limit signs at the west end of Irwin Street or Irwin Avenue. And also the possibility of maybe some rumble strips or something to help allay the speed going down through that street now. Because no matter what it says right now, it's about 60 miles an hour. Just ask the residents.
Councilwoman Reed.
Has the date for city cleanup been set? I know Mr. Darwin said that it was going to be in October. What date in October?
I'll reach out to Granger to confirm. I have not been made aware of an official date yet, but I will contact Granger.
City Attorney.
I can email council about this, but just some of you had asked individual questions, so I just wanted to address it with you. As you're aware, Ms. Rufus was arraigned on her felony warrants. Some of you asked whether or not you could attend the hearing. Based on the witness subpoenas that I've seen, my understanding is at the very least, witnesses are appearing by Zoom, so I don't believe that the public would be able to participate physically, but you could certainly observe any proceedings via Zoom.
Okay.
So Attorney Harkness, did she turn herself into the locals or in Illinois?
That I don't know the answer to. All I know is that she was arraigned. And I don't know if she was arraigned virtually or whether she physically came to Michigan. I just know that she did make arrangements with the court to quote unquote surrender herself. I don't know whether she surrendered herself virtually and arranged to be arraigned, but she does have pending court dates now.
Okay. Well, keep it posted, please.
Any other council members have future agenda items? Okay, so on the sidewalk, you can give us a status, including where we are with the contract. Same thing for the court repairs in Victory Park. First meeting in September, the second Saturday in September is Community Unity Cleanup Day or Community Service Day. And we have 3 or 4 projects, and I'll get with you probably this Wednesday during our weekly meeting and talk about the suggested projects, and then that'll be on the agenda for the first meeting in September. Okay.
Is that second Saturday in September?
Right. We'll all be outside, social distancing apply. Next is public comment. Public comments, Chief?
Yep, just a second. Mr. Brown?
Yep, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Again, I would strongly urge council to follow up on what they have committed to doing to the community, which is getting some training about their roles, and then also following up with the issue of the racial issue, right? The council said they're gonna do that, and I think the council needs to do that. The other thing that you all can't see it because you're not on the other end of this, but and it's in relating to what Councilmember Lawler said. The way, because the majority of you are in the chambers and another member is not, even if you were not wearing masks, you can't really see your faces, right? Because the camera's not zooming into you like it normally would do in a normal session. So that's some technical things that you all have to figure out. And I think, it's worth investing in upgrading the AV system in the council chambers, because that's been an issue in terms of the mic picking up what you're saying, and then the quality of the visual, the video feed. So that's something that also needs to be looked into. Let's see. And then I joined in on the Zoom call, I'm going to say a week or so ago, for the Economic Development Corporation. There was some discussion about combining the boards. And, one of the things, and the mayor did mention that he would ask the attorney to look into that. If I remember, and it's been a while, I remember the attorney saying there would be some difficulties in trying to combine, let's say, like a DDA board and a EDC board. But the concern I had there was, if it were to be combined, what would it look like? Because I know, for example, in Battle Creek and Marshall, the way they structured their economic development agency is in a way where it's not really subject to FOIA, right? It's not actually a public body in the traditional sense. So that's something we have to really look out for in terms of openness and transparency. So I think the council should just really be aware of that. And lastly, with my last couple of seconds here, to just repeat kind of what former Mayor Pro Tem Brown said, it's really telling to me that it wasn't until the George Floyd protests that ARC actually added African Americans to that board. So I think we need to really take that seriously about what the place is of African Americans is in this community going forward. Thank you.
Do we have more public comments, Chief?
Yep.
It's a nice touch.
Ms. Brown?
Hi, thank you, Chief. Sonia Brown, 713 Orchard Drive. I wanted to just reiterate that this setup in particular, it is very difficult to make out what you all are saying. I attempted to make my public comment during the hearing. Like I said, I don't know what happened, but I wasn't able to do that. yeah, it's your voice is not a volume issue, is that your voices sound very muffled. So it's hard to actually hear what you're saying. I also wanted to say, you know, council adopted a resolution declaring racism a public health crisis here in Albion. And I know that part of that resolution included forming a committee. And I'm wondering when those next steps are going to be initiated. The community is waiting. A resolution is a symbolic gesture. Without action, it's just symbolism. And this community deserves action and not symbolism. And I also urge you all to schedule what you deemed as racial sensitivity training. I hope you move forward with that quickly, because as the DDA plan revealed, there are some gaps in this community, and race is the factor. And we can't ignore those things any longer. Not in this climate, not with where our country is right now and where our city has been. And we're just beginning to hold a mirror up to Albion to realize that the issues that we identify with so far away are actually here in our own front yards. So lastly, I want to urge you all to reach out to a trainer to get the training to understanding your roles, so that city managers aren't continuing to go in this revolving door. In the last 2 years, we've had 2. So I'm really rooting for Albion, and I'm focused on being solution-based. I'm also focused on dealing with the real issues head on and not, you know, sugarcoating and covering things up. Like, let's put everything out on the table and address the issues realistically and very bravely. So thank you.
Are there further public comments, Chief?
Mr. Thompson, just a second.
All right, everybody can hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, good evening, council members, certainly the people, residents of City of Albion that are watching this evening. Good evening, Gary Tompkins, your county commissioner. Always great to be with you. Hopefully soon we'll be able to actually get together. Let's certainly looking forward to seeing each one of you again very shortly. Just real quickly this evening, as a reminder, the county buildings in both Battle Creek and Marshall are reopened to the public with the exception of the Justice Center. Just please, if you do have business in the county buildings, please make sure that you call ahead to the particular department which you have business with, as some of the departments are still are by appointment only. As you do enter both the buildings, make sure that you have masks certainly, and social distancing is required. So just some information for you folks. Just some items on our latest county commission meetings that we've had in our July 16th, and we're going back a little bit here, but something you'll see on the placed on the 2020 November ballot is a authorization of a placement of a telephone line surcharge to fund 911 emergency dispatch services for a 10-year period with a maximum amount of $3 per line that you'll be seeing on the November 2020 ballot. Just some information for you. Also, too, at our recent commissioner meeting, we heard from Clerk Hingley on the primary turnout. It was 14.08 in 2016, and we actually seen 25.9% turnout in Calhoun County in 2020. So about 11% increase from what we've seen in the presidential cycle in 2016. We also heard from a very excited Helen Guzzo, who was our senior services manager, on the passing of our senior renewal millage at 82%. We in the 7th district approved the renewal with 79.84%. We also heard from a very ecstatic Doug Farrell, the county parks manager, on the passing of the parks millage with 61% in Calhoun County. Obviously, you know that the passage of that parks millage, that will account for, I believe, about $21,000 a year for over a 5-year period per year for the city of Albion to preserve, acquire, and maintain parks. So good news certainly for the city of Albion there, which will be a big help. My monthly newsletter, as you folks know, is certainly available. If you're interested, I know with the libraries being closed and whatnot, it's been difficult to get them out physically, but if you're interested, please email me or contact me, tomkinscc7@gmail.com, and I'll get you hooked up on the email list. It's a great resource to know what's going on in around the 7th District. This month's newsletter, I talk obviously about some of the committees that I serve on, one being the Senior Millage Allocation Committee, which I'm honored to chair. We have a very, very strong presence on the east side of the county, which is great for residents of the city of Albion. As a matter of fact, the city of Albion seniors, about 50% of them actually do partake in the services that are supplied through the senior millage. So we're good to see that, we're great to see that that was renewed for a 10-year period so that many of our folks 60 and older can take advantage of those services that it provides. And then finally, as you guys know, I'm always going to talk about roads because that's what I like to talk about the best. I don't know if I like to talk about it, but essentially the on page 6, I focus on a new report that was put out by a group called Copilot using Federal Highway Administration statistics that stated that Michigan has the 9 worst roads in the nation, which obviously we know that because we drive on them every day. However, the issue comes down to is that study doesn't account for not only the local rural roads that you see in Calhoun County, but also in the local municipal streets that you see that you folks drive on each and every day. My road plan that I will continue to boast is actually getting a lot of traction. We continue to talk of it like that. It is making its rounds around, and hopefully once at some point when the COVID crisis, hopefully at some point we can move on beyond that. We can start talking about the roads again and getting some real concrete solutions to be able to get that taken care of. So just a lot of things going on certainly in the county, but as we move forward to not only our budget season that's coming up, but a variety of other issues. And again, I'm certainly very honored to represent the people of the city of Albion and as we move forward. So with that being said, I hope each and every one of you have a great evening. And like I said, again, I hope to see you folks very soon as we begin to reacclimate ourselves back to seeing each other in person. So great to see every one of you this evening, and have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Councilmember comments? Councilman Clark.
I just provided information, it's actually the manager report.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry.
City manager.
So I have a few updates for you. Last week, we were notified that the city has been selected for a Transportation Economic Development Fund Category B grant in the amount of $250,000 for the year 2021. This grant funding will go towards the restoration of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Hartwell and Wild Street, so that's very exciting news for the city. Yay. Just a reminder of Resolution 2020-13, the annual council default check. The annual compliance check was completed back in June. The clerk's office is in the process of addressing any default issues with any council members, appointed officers, or members of our boards and commissions. Excuse me. And just last briefly, the North Clark Street Reconstruction project began last week with the final completion date slated for October 31st.
Thank you. Councilman comments? Councilman Clark.
So I visited on Saturday to the there was a decent turnout. I wish there had been more. It's very exciting to see that coming about in our city. I encourage parents to get their children involved in it more and find out about what this is and how it can help motivate young children in the area of engineering or building, because there's 2 parts of it. In the actual, there was some discussion talked about even making this broader in the future. So I think that parents should really look at it, because right now I think it's a lot of other areas outside that's more involved than the Albion area. So I think parents need to be aware of this, go down and visit it and see what's going on and get their children involved.
Councilman Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say whoever wrote this Transportation and Economic Development grant, I really really appreciate you. I'm excited for precinct 1. It's been a long time for them, and that it is well deserved for them. So whoever did that, I'm gonna spread the word, even though it's not my precinct, but I am happy for precinct 1. I also want to say thank you to all of you for listening to the concerns of the 4th precinct. They are a tough group, and so you make it a lot easier for me when you have some information for me to take back to them. I also want to say I have seen some campaign signs without who paid for them, so I just want to make it, put it out there that to be careful with that, because it could be reported. I also wanted to say I'm excited about the research that I have to do about the animals that are over or abandoned, whichever one that it goes into the category of, but for helping me make an informed decision to work with actually someone to help us get that resolved. So I'm thanking all of you for helping me and my precinct. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I want to share, I too attended the Innovate Albion open house on Saturday morning. It's really, really incredible what's happening right here in downtown Albion in an old building. It's fascinating. If there's ever a chance you all can be part of that again, I know many of you were there. Please go and see what's going on. This is a perfect partnership between business and nonprofit entities and people who just really care about Albion. So lots of praise that way. And I also would like to share that organization, Innovate, was one of the only organizations during the pandemic that was providing safe educational programming for students in our community. And they did a really good job doing it. So I want to applaud their efforts there. And then I also, I have been having conversations all over about why Albion can't seem to, be successful, get itself. Why are we always kind of like fighting with each other? Why are we always having these problems getting things passed? Why are so many silos happening in our community? And some of those conversations, there's lots of frustration, but I have renewed my commitment to bringing resolutions and changes forward over the next few months with council, hopefully in partnership with many of you, to help make our city more business friendly, more people friendly, and spurring more economic and social activity in our community again safely and during COVID-19. But I also went up north recently and have seen what other communities have done to open themselves up to changing how they do things after so long because of COVID-19. We're not gonna be the same city when this is over, and we shouldn't be the same city while it's happening now. And I think we, as a small community, have a really great opportunity to rise to the challenge to make sure we keep as many local businesses alive as possible, to attract new business, even at this really strange time. And this council has to get itself together to be helpful in that process in a big way. I think people are looking to us to do that. And so I want to help do that, and I'm going to commit to doing that for the rest of my term on council, and I hope that I'll be able to work with all of you over the next several months and 2 years to make that happen. So I yield.
Any other comments by council members?
I want to comment. Let me sit here.
Councilwoman Spicer? Councilwoman Spicer?
No, you just muted it.
Oops, unmuted. Thank you. I just want to let my colleagues know that I didn't take any special privilege in not gathering with you all tonight. I just was uncertain about how the setup was going to go. I didn't know pews seating was going to be removed and we're going to be situated where. So I don't take special privilege. I just was uncertain about how the setup was going to be. I see how it is, and I think that if you all are still healthy and positive in 2 weeks, I will be present in the chambers. But I also wanted to echo what Mr. Brown said about the sounding. There is, for some of you, an echo, and for others, it's muffled, especially for Shane. He's really muffled, or maybe he's far away from a speak. Maybe his mic isn't working or whatever, but yeah, there are some, and I'm sure the chief is aware of this because he's listening as well. There are some technical difficulties that I'm sure we're gonna have to work out, but it looks like this meeting procedure is going to work. So thank you.
Okay, I have a couple announcements. On the 27th of August, with the help and sponsorship of the Battle Creek YMCA, there'll be a hip hop, extreme hip hop with Dante from Lansing. It's kind of a dance aerobics. Right now, that's scheduled to be in the Opportunity High School parking lot. The rain location, because I don't know what the weather's going to be on the 27th, will be down in the skating pavilion in Victory Park. Limited to under 100 people attending, and there'll be flyers coming out soon and an opportunity for people to RSVP so they can plan accordingly. And I'm meeting with the Jill Hind of the Battle Creek YMCA tomorrow in one of the local churches, looking at YMCA would like to set up recreation centers and academic learning centers to help with the school year coming up. So they're working hard on that, and we're meeting with St. Paul's Church in the morning, and First Baptist Church also has a gymnasium, and they're interested in supporting that. So I think that's an innovative way to give the youth around here in our community things to do and assist with their academic school year coming up, because it's going to be a challenge. Any other comments by council? Okay. We don't need to excuse anyone. I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
I didn't want to jinx it. That was like a big council.
Right.